Hello everybody. Next up we play host to Blackburn Rovers in the League Cup, and as usual I'll apply my usual rule on sponsored cups. I always refuse to name the sponsor unless they send me product, but in case anyone happens to be watching from the sponsors of this competition, don't worry, my blood pressure's high enough at the moment without shoving some form of rocket fuel down my neck. Kick-off on Wednesday is 7:45pm, and there's no extra time if the scores are level at 90 minutes. It's straight to spot kicks. There's no VAR either. I believe both extra time and VAR don't kick in until the semi-final stage of this competition. So, Blackburn then. Well, although it's a long way from the days when they were owned by a supporter who actually had some sort of idea of what he was doing, in the form of the late Jack Walker, they're not having a bad time of it at present, sitting as they do in second place in the Championship, with 36 points from the 20 games they've played so far, which is 2 points behind East Lancashire rivals Burnley. Daisy informs me that Blackburn are something of a statistical anomaly this season. They're the only team in the 4 top professional divisions not to have drawn a game so far this season. Their record reads played 20, won 12, lost 8. I think Daisy mentioned the word interesting in there somewhere, but I must admit my eyes glazed over well before that point. This season is their 5th since returning from the depths of the 3rd tier. In that time they've hardly been over-inspiring, but they have shown gradual improvement, having finished 15th, 11th, 15th and 8th in the league over the past 4 seasons. It's looking okay so far this season, but they may need to start converting some of those defeats into draws if their promotion challenge is to be maintained. That challenge has been inspired to a certain degree by the arrival of Danish manager Jon Dahl Tomasson. There's a funny thing, I remember Tomasson playing for Newcastle in the late 1990s. However, when Daisy looked up his record there, it transpired he played just the 1 season on Tyneside, making only 23 league appearances. Odd, isn't it, how someone should play so few games yet stick in the mind more than players who probably spent a lot longer on these shores and had a much bigger impact. Anyhow, Tomasson replaced the less than inspiring and possibly missing chuckle brother Tony Mowbray, and he set about bringing in Callum Britton to fill a berth at right back, Scotsman Dominic Hyam to fill a berth at centre back, and Colchester-born Sammy Smodic to fill in at midfield and pick up a few extra points at Scrabble. Although an Essex lad by birth, Smodic has an Irish grandmother and was called up to the full Irish squad last year following some injury dropouts. Sadly for the player, he himself picked up an injury and was unable to make any debut, since when he's failed to make an appearance internationally speaking. Top scorer, and a familiar name in the Who Will West Ham Sign This Summer gossip columns, is Ben Brereton Diaz. Now, although he's a Chilean international, he does in fact hail from the exotic South American climes of Stoke-on-Trent, and his international experience up to full level was actually with the England under-19 and under-20 sides. At club level, he started out with the Man United, Stoke and eventually Nottingham Forest youth setups. He turned pro at the City Ground before signing for Blackburn in 2018, originally on loan. He seems to have found his feet at Ewood Park, averaging 1 in 3 in the league since the deal was made permanent. We've just time this week for a very quick visit to the wild and wacky world of association football, and Sepp Blatter, the disgraced and corrupt former FIFA trough snouter, has announced that the awarding of the World Cup to Qatar by Sepp Blatter was a mistake. Presumably the brown envelope didn't go that far as it once might have done in the current economic climate. Meanwhile, in other news, the Pope has announced that he does not adhere to the Protestant religion. The Prime Minister of Luxembourg has announced that, after a geographical survey, it's been discovered that his country's landmass is less extensive than most other nations, and some bears have admitted that if you go down to the woods today and step in something smelly, they might just have been responsible. OK, on to us. Well, that was as bad a performance as I've seen us put in all season on Sunday. Now, I'm not going to lay into Mr. Moyes, as so many have done this week, but blimey, weren't we so one-dimensional. We couldn't adapt to what the opposition were doing, and it was a complete reversal from the freedom with which the Euro squad played in midweek. On the matter of the substitution of Benrahma, which got roundly booed, I can kind of see both sides of the story. Mr. Moyes cited a knock as being behind his decision and suggested that, apart from the goal, Benny had contributed little to the game. On the other hand, that goal was, well, a bit special, and not long before being hooked, he had gone on a dangerous-looking run, something that might just have coloured the crowd reaction. Our passing was awful, and Antonio's contribution at the end was akin to that which cost us 2 points against the same opponents away a few years back. I mean, we may not have deserved the win, but it's all the more annoying when you realise that we really ought to have done so. The word is that a strong squad will be put out for this one. Having said that, I'd expect the starting 11 still to be more akin to the Euro first 11 than the league side, with all the youngsters who were in the starting lineup perhaps relegated in the general direction of the bench. If it were me, I'd send out the side that started against Palace as much as a punishment and give them an opportunity to atone for Sunday's debacle. But that's me. So, prediction then. Well as they're playing in the league at the moment, Blackburn are likely to indulge in some heavy squad rotation of their own. Apart from anything else, they face a short but testing trip up the road on Sunday to Burnley, which will qualify as one of those cliché 6-pointers they always rat about. So with one eye on that, we can probably expect a weakened squad coming down the M6. So on that basis, I'd expect our second squad to be better than their second squad. With that in mind, I'll be placing the £2.50 I was going to chip in to help poor old Blatter save his ill-gotten gains, and I'm going to place it on a home win. Let's call it 2-1 to us, Mr. Benstone, if you will. Enjoy that game.
We're here in the offices of a Late Late Show with the host of a Late Late Show, James Corden.
Hi.
Big West Ham fan.
Yes. And big knees up Mother Brown, man.
Yeah.
Get on the forum at kumb.com. Come on, you irons.